What's going on? It's your boy Connor Conflict, and today's video is on the most important thing that we need to work on in free agency, which is obviously the offensive line. My last video was the offensive players the Dolphins should target in free agency, and it was long already. If I added the offensive line, it would be a whole lot longer. So hopefully this won't be as long-winded as the previous video in terms of the players we're going after. Basically, Dolphins have holes all over the offensive line. How much will scheme help? We really don't know, so it's hard to project, honestly. My only sure starter for next season is Rob Hunt. Everything else is up for grabs. So in today's video, I'm going over every single position, and then a couple of the names just to look out for. I'm not saying we're going to go out and sign all these guys. These are just names to look out for, be familiar with, and maybe we sign some of these guys. So without further ado, left tackle. I'm going to go left tackle, guards. I'm just going to group them as guards, centers, and then right tackle. So left tackle, my top guy, if we have the opportunity, is Orlando Brown. Now, I don't think there's a way in hell the Chiefs let him hit free agency. I think they've already made it clear. But if he does, he's a no-brain. Write a blank check for him. He's young, pretty durable. He's had a major injury, but he doesn't miss games consistently. He's a mauler in the run game, and he's a great pass protector as well. He's all around a great player, and he's still young. So it's not like you're getting a young developmental guy who has ups and downs. No, he's a rock solid player, young as hell. So you can sign him to a lengthy deal and have that position sealed away for a long time. Now, with that said, like I said, don't think he touches free agency. So I'm gonna briefly go past him. I'm going to lead up to the main guy. Next guy, Cam Robinson. He is pretty young compared to the rest of the guys I'm going to name. He's projected to get $16.8 million a year, which is a lot. I think he honestly probably gets a little less than that. But overall, he plays left tackle, which is a very valuable position, but technically for the Dolphins, not as much. I'll describe him as this. There's some top-end guys that all Dolphins fans are clamoring for. He's not top end, but he's solid. He's someone you put at left tackle. He's gonna give up a sack here and there, but overall he'll be pretty consistently solid, and he's durable, which you can't say about some of the guys that I will mention later on. So would I sign him for that price tag? I wouldn't. But he's a solid, consistent player, so it would be an upgrade, but I don't think it's worth dropping that kind of bag on. Then you have Dwayne Brown. He's left tackle for the Seahawks. The man is like 36 years old, and he's still doing his thing. And actually, a report came out earlier today, I believe, that the Seahawks are looking to bring him back. So probably not going to hit the open market, but if he does, he's a solid vet. You know, he's not going to be a lockdown left tackle, but he's going to be a solid placeholder. He's not going to be terrible, and he'll be a good developmental guy. He'll be a good guy for the other guys to learn from and develop from. Now, he's not a developmental guy, but solid placeholder and can maybe teach Austin Jackson or Liam Meikenberg. You know what I'm saying? But I doubt he hits free agency. Plus, even if he does, I don't think the Dolphins will go in that direction, but possible. I got two more guys at left tackle. This guy, I know of him. My friend's a Rams fan. I know the Rams roster pretty well. Joe Noteboom, but also I wouldn't have put this guy on the list if it wasn't for my dog Kyle Krabs, Locked On Dolphins. He's probably the best Dolphins list, and he's very knowledgeable. Now, granted, a lot of my opinions are formulated by myself, but this specific one, I heard him talk about on his pod and thought it was a solid idea. Joe Noteboom, I won't even call him necessarily left tackle, but he's a player on the offensive lineman on the Rams. He's played basically every position besides center. He's kind of more of a developmental guy, so kind of personally I would want to stay away from him. Dolphins aren't in that position to get developmental guys, and maybe he works out here. No, we need rock solid firm guys. With that said, he fits the scheme, obviously coming from the Rams, and can play multiple positions, so I wouldn't sign him for the contract that's probably going to get as a depth guy either, so it's probably someone I don't go after, but just a name to be aware of. And then last but not least, Tron Armstead. A lot of people have the Dolphins going after him. I don't think it happens personally. He's one of the best left tackles in all football. He's a phenomenal player. He's 30 years old. But like I said, one of the best left tackles in football, which to me is part of the concern, because someone like Tron Armstead, who is elite at the position, one of the most important positions in all of football, is going to get paid a lot. And the value of the position for the Dolphins isn't as much as it is for other teams, because the reason the left tackle is the most valuable is because it's the blind side, but not for the Dolphins. So if you're truly going all in on Tua, why are you going to drop a bag on the blind side that's not the blind side? You know what I'm saying? That's why I think I made that whole video on Trent Brown. That's where the money should go. Spoiler for late in the video if you weren't already aware. But I think he's an elite player, and I wouldn't even be upset if the Dolphins signed him. But for the price tag and the durability concerns, I wouldn't drop that bag on him. However, like I said, phenomenal player, would be a huge upgrade and could help teach the rest of the linemen. I'd be fine with the signing. So that's it for tackles. My top tackles, that if we had the pick of any of them, it would be Armstead or Brown. Brown first, though. Brown and then Armstead. I don't think we go out. I don't think we sign either one. I don't think Brown hits free agency. I think if we were to sign a left tackle, I don't know. I don't think we sign a left tackle. Not a high end left tackle. Like, I don't think we sign any of the guys I just named. But if we were to, those are the names to look out for. I do see us signing some of the guys I'm going to name further on in this video. So guards, I'm going to start with the top guard in this free agency class, and it's Brandon Scherff. Will he finally hit free agency without getting franchise tagged? I hope so. He's one of the best guards in all of football. He's 30 and set to make projected $12 million a year. Thinking probably like a 3-year, $36 million contract in that kind of range. Instant impact player. He would help the rest of the offensive line with just his veteran prowess. Very good player. He fits the scheme just because he's good. He can run zone. I don't know if I wouldn't spend this top end dollar at the position to get someone. I would spend the money elsewhere is what I'm saying. It's a pretty deep guard free agency class where I would take more of a, not necessarily budget guard, but spend a little less on a proven solid guard, and then maybe spend the rest of the money at tackle. But without Scherff would be an instant upgrade. You can't get mad. Honestly, I'm happy if the Dolphins just sign any big offensive lineman. Just proven talent is what I want. But I don't think that's someone that is actually going to happen, but you never know. Next guard, Andrew Norwell with the Panthers, signed a big contract with the Jags. Hasn't necessarily lived up to it, but I mean, it's hard to live up to a contract when you're a guard. But I would say, once again, he's kind of what I'm looking for. Is he's a solid player. He's 30, so he's going to help bring some leadership. He's been in the league a long time. It's not someone I would toss a huge contract down to either, but if his market's not crazy and you can get him for like a pretty decent price considering what you thought maybe, I wouldn't be upset at all to add him. Maybe it's like a 7 mil, 8 mil a year deal. Now, will he get more or less? I don't know, but I wouldn't be upset if we go out and get a vet guard. Kind of follows along with the next couple guys I'm going to name. Austin Corbett, theme of the video. Anyone who's played in this scheme, I basically have. I mean, a lot of people play in the scheme, but at the highest of levels is going to be in this video. Austin Corbett, the LA Ram, hitting free agency, coming from a similar scheme, obviously. He's 26 and set to make around $8.5 million a year. Good scheme fit, would be a solid move. Second contract, so, you know, he fits the scheme. I didn't raise pass protections down like I did for some people, which I don't know what I was doing. But he would be a good player. I don't think it's the most glamorous guy, but I think he gets the job done. But in my opinion, if we're going for a scheme fit, I don't think, like exact scheme fit, like coming from very similar schemes, I don't think he's the direct guy we're going to go after. If you've been paying attention, you probably know the guys we're going to be targeting. Next guy, Connor Williams, set to make around $13.2 million a year. He's got guard tackle versatility. He's played, I don't know if it was left tackle or right tackle. I know he's definitely played, he might have played both tackles, honestly. But he's moved to guard for the Cowboys, obviously, who have loaded tackles. Fits the scheme. He ran a decent amount of zone running concepts this past year. And this season, he only allowed 15 pressures and 2 sacks and 624 pass blocking snaps, which, compared it to most people, that's probably the best numbers on this entire list in terms of pressures and sacks allowed. And you also factor in the value that he can play tackle. 13.2 is a steep number. I wouldn't necessarily do that, but he's a very good player. Would be a great addition. Now, these next two guys I'm going to name, I feel like are the most likely guys for the Dolphins to sign in free agency at the guard position. So, James Daniels, guard for the Chicago Bears. He's a young, athletic guy. He's getting a second contract, and he fits the scheme to a T. I don't think a single team ran more zone blocking than the Bears did this year. I think around 70%. He had an up and down year in pass protection. He had some games with 0 pressures allowed, 0 sacks, and then some games with like 6 pressures allowed. But overall, not terrible. He played the entire season, so the numbers get a little inflated. So he allowed 40 pressures and 3 sacks in a total of 701 pass blocking snaps. His projected deal is $7.3 million a year. So when you consider the perfect scheme fit and how we're planning to play offense, he'd be a pretty solid fit. And granted, you got to think of these numbers too. Like, Justin Fields held the ball a long time, which doesn't help the O-line. Last but not least, at the guard position is probably the guys the Dolphins fans have been clamoring for the most, and it's Laken Tomlinson. Obviously, ever since we hired McDaniel, this is one of the top free agents that Dolphins fans have wanted, and rightfully so. Obviously proven in this scheme, very solid run blocker. He made the Pro Bowl, which doesn't necessarily mean anything. Perfect scheme fit. He knows the system, and that'll definitely help the offensive line, which is one of the biggest things I'm looking for. I want someone that's just going to be good. I want someone that's going to help the people around him, and him knowing the system perfectly will help that tremendously. So he brings the vet leadership I'm looking for. His pass protection numbers aren't phenomenal if you look into him, but very good scheme fit. He's not going to be overly expensive either. He's probably going to cost, if I had to guess, $8 million a year tops. I could be ignorant, but that's just the feel I'm getting with the other numbers that I've seen. So I think he's a home run signing. Not overly expensive and sorry, I heard something. Not overly expensive and perfect scheme fit, so I dig that. Now we got 3 centers to go over, and then there's only 1 right tackle, so it's a little bit of a spoiler, as if I didn't spoil it already. So centers, Bradley Bozeman of the Baltimore Ravens, likely going to hit free agency. The Ravens just churn out elite offensive linemen. It's ridiculous. They're one of the best organizations of football. So Bozeman didn't run a lot of zone blocking this season, I think around 20%, but his pass blocking numbers are phenomenal. Now, granted, you think of the system they're in, it's not traditional. It's run heavy, and they get the ball out quick, and they have also phenomenally athletic quarterbacks who can run away from pressure. But with that said, he only allowed 21 pressures and 3 sacks and 673 pass blocking snaps. And funny enough, I didn't know this until I did the research. He actually played, the year Tua won the national championship in 2018, which granted he only really played backup snaps until the Natty. But Bradley Bozeman was there. He was snapping to Tua during the Natty, so there's some small familiarity. I don't know how strong the relationship is, but I didn't know he went to Bama and snapped to Tua, but he did. So from some interesting knowledge there. I don't know why I didn't write. I slacked a little bit. I didn't write his projected contract, but I'm pulling it up right now, and he's projected to make $9.9 million a year. So he's getting top center money. I don't know if it's necessarily what the Dolphins are looking for, but I would not be opposed. He's one of the best. He's arguably the best center available in free agency. So an upgrade position is not something we're certain about. We might keep Dieter there. We might draft a center. Who knows? But he'd be a solid upgrade. Next guy, also a Ram, Brian Allen. Coming from a similar scheme, so we know he fits in that aspect of the run game. Pass protection, he allowed 25 pressures and 5 sacks, not snacks, and 730 pass blocking snaps. So overall, pretty solid numbers. The 5 sacks all came in the first 10 weeks, and then from week 10 to the Super Bowl, he didn't allow a single snack. I don't know what. I'm just going to call snacks from going forward. I'm slow, okay? So he showed great improvement in the pass protection area in the second half of the season, which is something you would like to see, some growth. last but not least, arguably the best center in free agency, Jensen. Once again, not necessarily a perfect scheme fit in terms of the whole zone running scheme, but good players can translate in any scheme, really. He's a vet leader, sturdy, which I've explained previously. This is what I'm looking for. Didn't run a lot of zone blocking. He ran probably like 20%. His pass protection this season wasn't great comparison to some people. To be fair, he was playing pretty injured. He had multiple injuries if you just go look at the injury report. But still, he had only 21 pressures and 2 sacks the entire season. So it's pretty good. Now, if you count the playoffs, it goes to like 28 and 5 or 4 or 5. But nonetheless, he's a proven guy who's a veteran leader who will help the rest of your offensive line, and he's projected to make $10 million a year. I would not be mad at tossing the $10 million a year contract at Jensen. I think it'd be a great addition, and it's what I'm looking for. So I forgot to mention my top guys at each position who are the Dolphins I'm looking for. Left tackle, I already went over. It's Brown/Armstead. Guard, my number one choice would be Laken Tomlinson, like most Dolphins fans. Center, Jensen. And then right tackle, I have one singular name. If you've watched any of my videos, you know who it is, Trent Brown. I made an entire video about him, so if you want more information, just go check that one out. But he can run zone. He's very big, but he's still athletic. He's a great run blocker, and he's a great pass protector, too. His only negative is his durability. So that is a concern. But like I said, left tackles make the most money out of any offensive lineman because they're the blind side. But if our blind side is right tackle, that's where our biggest asset should go, which is why I think our number one priority should be bringing Trent Brown, sign him to whatever contract is necessary. I think it's only going to be probably around $12 million a year. I think Spot Track has it at around 10. I think that's a little light. I think you'll probably make around $12 million a year, and I'd do that happily. Durability issues, which is a little concerning. However, he's an elite player, top 3 probably at his position, so he's a no-brainer to me. So going over the entire list of my top guys, left tackle, Orlando Brown, if he gets re-signed. Armstead, guard, Laken Tomlinson, center, Jensen, right tackle, Trent Brown. I just want someone that's not only going to be a benefit as their own individual self, but will help the rest of the line. I think all of those guys would do it. So that is today's video. Next video is going to be the defensive free agents we should target. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment any questions or concerns down below. And I appreciate you guys for watching, so I'll catch you.